Greetings, everyone. It's Patty Janes, and we are back at our marketing class this semester. I hope you found all the other materials valuable and setting us up for the semester. We wanted today to get started with Chapter 1. And to do that, get your comfy seat and your comfy clothes and get ready to learn. I have the PowerPoint slides printed, and you're welcome to do that. PowerPoint's on our Blackboard site. I have reading glasses because I need those. I also have a nice warm beverage, so something to get us started. So I hope you're as ready to go as well. And one of the things I'm most challenged with in our industry is how we participate in and utilize the concept of marketing in our organizations today. And I hope you found in reading the chapter that I've found through research and studying our industry, as well as my own experience in marketing, I have found that we have opportunities to grow. So in this first chapter, I want to talk about, first of all, kind of philosophically, my marketing beliefs and where I believe our industry to be, and why we are still growing so significantly in the concept of marketing. And in the second section, I'll talk more about kind of the goal and why we want to look at marketing more strategically and what's happened in the past and what we should start anticipating and preparing for in the future to be as effective as we can with it. And in the third section, I want to talk a little bit more about why we have barriers in our industry and what those barriers are, and most importantly, what you will need to do as a professional in our field to overcome those barriers for organizations. So having said all that, let me get started first with welcome to Chapter 1. Let's talk about really starting off with what is marketing. And I have to admit that I did not make up this next slide. I found it on my desk. And specifically, the slide actually talked about basic marketing beliefs. And one of the things we want to talk about is that philosophically every agency does marketing. If I went to an organization and said, hey, do you do marketing? They all should say yes. And part of that rationale is some organizations may say, oh no, we don't need any marketing, or we don't do marketing. But any organization that operates a business or an organization does marketing simply by providing services. You'll learn quickly that the base of all great marketing is really the quality of the experience. So when operations people in our field start to believe that they aren't marketers, it's one of the first philosophical and practical beliefs that I share with them is by serving guests and serving visitors and serving employees, we are actually doing marketing. Because power of word of mouth, as you probably already know, is the most effective communication strategy in marketing. If we treat our employees well and if we treat our guests well, they in turn will tell others about the experience. And in Chapter 1, as well as Chapter 3, we talk about, well, how many people will they tell? Well, we know if you have a really bad experience somewhere, how many people do you end up telling? The research says you will tell at least 10 other people about that bad experience. And with online communication, that reach is incredibly broad. But verbally, if you have a really bad experience, and the research also says that the more money you have spent for that experience, the more likely you will not participate in that activity, endeavor, or purchase again. The smaller types of purchases, you tend to be more forgiving in giving them multiple attempts. So for example, you go to McDonald's and you didn't like the way they prepared your Big Mac, you may give McDonald's another try. You go on a one-week vacation to an all-inclusive resort and have a bad experience. You may never give them another attempt. So the research supports that, but it also says that we'll tell 10 people. But we know those 10 people will tell 10 more, who tell 10 more, who tell 10 more. And again, you put it online and they'll tell 1,000,000 more. So we know the power of word of mouth is so incredible because the reach becomes very broad very quickly. A lot of people will find that out. And secondly, it's believable, and that's the most important reason. I can put $1 million worth of billboards all around, and you can tell someone about your experience, and you are more believable, obviously, than my $1 million of billboards. So every agency does marketing simply by providing a quality of service to visitors and employees, and I want to make sure we accent both of those things because they're equally as important. The care that we give to employees and the employee standards and practices we have are incredibly important to marketing. We want those employees to be our brand ambassadors as much as we want outside visitor to be our brand ambassador. So every agency, the way we supervise, set up policies, our culture, our values, our beliefs are really the base of all great marketing. And we can't afford as marketers to have people leave our experiences with a poor experience, because they're going to go tell ultimately 250 people fairly directly and millions virally. So if you have a really great experience, how many people do you tell? And that pause there is for you to actually say it out loud. Well, you don't have to say it out loud, but you know what I mean. So we tell on average about 3 people about a really great experience. So isn't that kind of awful, really, when you think about it? We wonder why the news talks about negative things, and magazines or newspapers talk about negative things. And you know the real reason is because we want to hear it. People innately talk about the bad things and want to read about the bad things. And the research proves that we only tell 3 people about a really great experience. But as a marketer, I'll take those 3 people every time. So the more we create high quality experiences for our employees and our visitors, the more they will tell other people who tell other people who tell other people. So the negative impact very directly is about 250 people. The positive impact very directly might be only 60 or 70 people, but those 60 or 70 are getting a message of value and a believable message because they trust the communicator. So when we talk about the power of word of mouth, it is incredibly valuable to marketing. Therefore, the base of all great marketing is really the quality of the experience. So if you came into this class already this semester thinking, I don't know about this marketing thing, I don't really get into that, I don't like it, that's pretty common for people sitting in your chair or seat. In terms of hospitality professionals or tourism professionals, we tend to not really think this whole concept of marketing is that important. And I'm here this semester to hopefully have you see and believe and buy into that it's critically important. And if we don't do a better job in our organizations, we will fail. So every agency does marketing, whether they believe it or not. So even in the interview that you did with someone in the field for this week's class, you may have found they say, we don't really do marketing. Well, they all do marketing, and I hope you buy into that reason why. So everybody does it, but everybody doesn't necessarily do it well. So what I also believe in my experience in our field is anyone can make a marketing decision and spend a marketing budget, but not anyone can be successful at it. We could right now write a marketing plan. We could start this whole semester and I could say, okay, I've got $5,000 and you've got 50 hotel rooms to trade. I want you to make a whole bunch of marketing decisions. And you could do it. I could do it. In fact, you already did in the pretest that you took for this class. I asked you, how would you handle the situation at that YMCA? What I didn't share is that YMCA example is actually a real story. I had an email from an alumni who was working at a YMCA. That YMCA happened to be in a suburb of the Detroit area, and that's exactly what they were experiencing. And her email to me said, what do I do? So it isn't unrealistic to think you are going to be put into the same kind of situation, walking into an HTM organization and being faced with challenges and looking at marketing as a critical tool to help you process through what should I do, how should I do it, and then go and do it. So I could give you $5,000 or I could give you $1 million and you could spend that budget today. But do you know why you're spending it that way, how you're spending it, who you're spending it to reach, and what the return of those investments are? So I have great concern in our field that we're all making marketing decisions every day. We're faced with decisions every day. We make them every day, but we're not necessarily making them as effective as we can. And I think pretty quickly in the next couple weeks in our semester, I hope you'll very clearly see that that statement is true. Marketing is still a relatively new concept in our industry, and you wouldn't necessarily think that, but it absolutely is. If you look at the literature in our field about marketing, you'll find that it was not heavily talked about at all until the 1980s. And it wasn't until the 1990s that we actually had standards that said we needed to teach marketing related concepts in our curriculum in higher education settings. So whether you are involved in a hospitality, a tourism, a leisure, a recreation area of our business, it really didn't matter. The commercial side of our business, the for-profit side of our industry, tended to be more advanced in terms of recognizing those practices were important. They were running businesses, but certainly the nonprofit side of our business were later adopters to the concept of marketing. So it's not surprising to me when we look in Chapter 1 at the history of marketing, quote unquote, that our industry has been a late adopter to some of those practices. And you may find as well in your interview of one site, and then certainly when I take all of your interviews and put them together and share back with you the collective data of what we found, you'll find that we are still growing in terms of where we should be in terms of marketing today. So still relatively new, a couple reasons why. And my overall philosophy as well is I firmly believe HTM organizations do not utilize marketing to its full potential. And it all kind of stems from those first three statements that not everybody even believes they're doing marketing, but they are. Not everyone is spending those dollars or investments or trade wisely, and we're still new at it. We're still in the infant kind of stages, in some businesses more than others. The larger branded companies that are buying, buying a brand to rent, they are buying the marketing practices of those big brands. So a Marriott, a Hyatt, a Radisson, etc., a Comfort Inn, you're buying the brand from those big companies. So with an exception of those, the rest of the folks are left to make those marketing kind of decisions alone. So we really haven't learned to integrate marketing, because even if we're pretty sophisticated in what we're doing, we have not canvassed the whole organization. And I've been talking and writing about that for 10 years, and we're still not there. So marketing today needs to be fully integrated. Every employee needs to have in their job description their marketing commitment and their marketing responsibilities. And again, if you buy into the idea that every agency does marketing simply by providing services to employees and to visitors, and the importance of the quality of that, then everybody should have on their job description that they will provide good quality to the people they're serving, because that's a basic marketing function. So in Chapter 1, I really am trying to talk about not only what we should be thinking about philosophically about marketing, but very practically how our organizations really are in terms of marketing, and how we can help move them faster up that food chain kind of idea. So the goal for what we're doing here is really to develop a systematic process for trying to apply marketing more effectively, to be and utilize marketing incredibly well in our HTM organizations that you and I work for, and to try and really embrace this concept and fully integrate it into our organizations. So in that, our goal would be to engage all staff. And I've already hopefully shared with you enough about the importance of everyone being involved with it, so therefore everybody should have some accountability to it. So we're going to try and engage all staff, and my goal this semester is you see how easy with some of the tools I'll bring to you, that you could take a front desk worker at 18 years of age and set them down, and they could help you process some better marketing decisions. It's also going to allow for various levels of expertise in that regard. So we could take the general manager of a restaurant or a property, or an executive director of a nonprofit, and we could take a brand new employee, and we could all use the tools more powerfully in marketing to make better decisions. We're going to focus both on marketing strategy here. So the first half of the semester is going to be very strategy focused. The second half will be very tactically focused. But so often HTM organizations are tactically oriented, meaning, oh, let's do a press release. Let's do a coupon in that coupon book. Let's buy a billboard. let's do all those things. That's a tactical kind of marketing decision about communication. Strategy means, why in the heck are we doing that billboard? And what kind of return are we going to get for the coupon if we're going to spend $500 to be in the coupon book? How is it being distributed? Who is it being distributed to? Did we measure and monitor, when they came in? I most recently worked with an organization that was like a fitness center, but a really complex kind of fitness center. And they had a bowling center inside the fitness complex. So it had multiple gyms, it had lots of fitness areas, group rooms, etc. But it also had a bowling center. And so in our early work with them, one of the things that I said is, what existing marketing things are you doing? And asked them to let me see everything they had done. And then I asked in particular about this coupon book they were in, what kind of return they got. How many coupons did they get back from the book? And they looked at me a little puzzled and said, well, we don't really know, but we did collect them. We did get them, but we'd never really looked at them. And I said, oh, okay, well, good. Where are they? And they said, actually, it's in this back room in a bag, because all of the guest, like if you do a guest pass at this property, you would have to fill out a form, and they put those in there too. So they had a bunch of extra sheets of paper in there, but they took me to the back. I go, let me see them. This is a marketer's dream. Let me see what you have. And so they took me to the back room, and I literally got garbage bags full of slips of paper. And I said, this is great. Now, at least we can measure to see, was that $1,000 investment to be in the coupon book worth it? Well, it turned out there were actually 3 coupon books, and I literally sat down and put all those coupons in piles and did it. Thank goodness they dated them, which was really lovely. So I could figure out by day of week, by month of year, which coupons came back when out of the 3 books and how it looked. So not only was that one piece of how to evaluate the effectiveness of their marketing, the second piece of that was, why did it or did not work? So was it, again, a distribution issue? Did the coupons get to people? So the coupon companies that are managing that, did they get it to the right audience? And then when the audience, if they did get the book, was the coupon of value? So one of the things I found when we looked at how many they got back by day of week, by month of year, and again, a quick little Excel spreadsheet could organize that information, and it could give us a lot of powerful insight. So one of the things we found was one of the coupon books actually had 16 coupons returned in the course of a year, and they spent $1,000 on that coupon book. So I'd say to you, geez, would you make that decision again next year? Was that a good decision? 18 coupons in the bowling center returned, and geez, were those 18 people going to come to us anyway? Did we just displace and make a discount for people or were they new people? And were they tied to a target market we were interested in? What was the true return of that investment? Well, in further analysis, one of the things we looked at was the offer on the coupon. And honestly, I'll share with you candidly, their offer was 50 cents off of your bowling shoes. Yeah, you heard me right. 50 cents off your bowling shoes. Now, I'm hoping you're laughing a little, and I'm hoping you get it quite quickly, that I'm not sure any of us would turn a coupon in for 50 cents off of most anything, let alone bowling shoes. Anymore, bowling's going to cost us several dollars for the game, a couple dollars for the shoes. And if it's $5 just to walk in and do one game, more likely $10 when we're done, a 5% discount is certainly not enough to drive some decisions. So always consider so many things, and that's all a strategic decision, because first of all, did it intend to go to the market you were interested in serving? But strategically, again, what was the offer to get them to use it? And was that a smart offer? And then how was it distributed to even get it to the people? Because we can create a lot of coupons or a lot of advertisements or a lot of trinkets that we might use to merchandise, but if we don't get it in the hands of the people and they read it and it has meaning, then it's worthless. So there are really several steps to this marketing process, and we have to first start with being strategic before we ever talk to our people, we ever make a decision about reaching them or communicating. So it's, to me, one of the most fascinating parts of marketing, because I find we have a lot of opportunity to grow in that area. And I also have found that the more strategic we are up front, it is way easier to make a tactical decision. In fact, it almost unfolds itself in front of us because we've done our homework, we know where we're going, we know why we're going there, and the way we get there is incredibly simpler than we think. So it needs to be, this process that we're going to go through this semester also needs to be simple to use. One of the things I've found is marketing can be completely overwhelming, and it was to me too. And I don't believe I've shared this, but my career in higher education was 25 years, but I also spent a number of years with the Marriott Corporation, as I mentioned, but I ended up a marketing director for 15 hotels. And in my role there, I had identical properties across the Midwest, 15 Courtyard by Marriott hotels at the time that were cookie cutter identical. But what fascinated me is the marketing plans for all those hotels were very different. And do you have any idea why? Another pause to get you thinking. I wish I could ask you. So what do you think? But the reason why is the competitors were different, the market was different, so the target markets were different, and the environment was different. The property could be identical, but there are too many nuances in each one of those markets. And there was a little bit of overlap at times, but it always surprised me that our marketing plans were so different by property to property. Competition changes, the market changes, everything changes, even when we have a consistent product in those places. So what I quickly realized is the more people we engaged in the marketing process when I had those hotels and have in the 25 years since, the more people I could put to work with it, the better everything was. Not only the better the decisions were, but the better the implementation was, because we all bought into the process, we committed and knew why we were going where we were going, and we then got excited about getting there. So the whole idea of creating a way to engage the most people we could throughout an organization, and as a result really taught them marketing concepts. And I would say there's a couple really hot things in our operations and marketing world in HTM, and the concepts of brand development, the concepts of quality of service certainly, but the concept of the internet and all the social tools and all of the ways we communicate and reach people today being so vibrantly different, that it has really necessitated us to better organize the whole marketing power in a way, in a strategic and tactical way, so people could engage with us and we could better explain and look and consider every possible tool that marketing might have. The other really hot topic in marketing today is what is referred to as big data. And the example I gave you about the coupons, a simple little example, but that's the power of big data. The more data we have to drive decisions, it's easier for one, and I'm more confident about why we're doing what we're doing for two, but it is driving everything today. And if nothing else in this first chapter, I hope you see again the power of the experience, the power of data and information to drive those decisions.